Hey, I'm Dave. Welcome to the shop. Great day. I'm a little suited up. I've got a very similar project to one I've done before, but I've got a new take on it. Possibly. I had some wormy wood stuff that I've been working on wormy wood, and I decided that I needed a little bit less worming project, and so I've got the same problem, which was we're about to give away a little gift to a friend, and I wanted a little tray to put it in, and the powers that be say, oh, well, we could use something like this. So I come to the shop and I'm making a new tray. Cherry. I like cherry a lot. To me, it's got great color, and the grain, the stuff that I've got has interesting grain. So I've got a cherry tray. You know the drill here. My lathe is down at the moment, and so I'm at a loss. To make dished features, I have to carve them. I've been doing this with a grinder. This small tray makes a grinder really a hard thing to imagine because there's no opportunity back and forth. But I'm using chisel and gouge to rough the thing out, and I think I'm going to be able to finish it with a chisel and then do a little teeny bit of hand sanding. That's my plan. We'll see how that works out. I've got one that I've sort of roughed out. I've got the back carved away. That's a table saw project. Keep your fingers out of the way. And the gouging part, I've set another one up because I figured I'd make two. One for me and, one to give away. So you get to see the carving process on the second one. First I'm going to do some routing to clear this center section down. It's not the finish, because I'll still probably do some detailing with a gouge, but it's to just remove a half of an inch of wood real quick. So let's go do that. I'll show you what I'm doing to do that, and we'll take it from there. So the design math is really simple. Beveled away 2 inches on each side. The piece is approximately 8. Therefore, this is 4 by 4. So I'm going to come in 2 inches and route down a half of an inch, and everything else is an angle straight line down. So I've got this piece of wood here. I've sawn the back. It's rough, but it's good enough. And I've got some lines drawn on it. These diagonals I'm going to need when it comes time to chisel, so I decided I'd throw those in now. But what I'm really looking for right now is this square, approximately 4 inches on a side. And now it's clamp it down, route that part of it that I can, then shift the board around and do the other part. It's going to take a couple of steps. There's not a lot of room here to be doing this with. Anyway, this is how that's going to go. Reasonably well secured. I'm going to wear some earmuffs so I won't be able to hear you yelling at me. I guess write in all caps. That way I'll know what you're saying. And, for all intents and purposes, we'll pretend that I know what I'm doing. And here we go. Okay, well that's less than perfect, but I guess I can work with it. It's not really awful. I overcut in a couple of spots. I didn't get into the corners. Made a bobbly mess of a bunch of it, but none of that really shows. And the bottom is still thicker than I need, so I'll be taking the whole thing down a little bit. I guess it's all right. Boy. So there you have it. I guess it's all right. Love the router. Does a great bunch of work for me really easily. But, if it was an edge tool and it was that dull, I wouldn't use it. I should probably look into getting something to sharpen router bits, because it just seems like that's the thing that should be done, because that seems like it's dull. All right, square up this corner. Don't overcut. Don't split anything. I'm chiseling this stuff. That wormy beach that I was using before, which, you know, is a thing. But I could never chisel that because it's so dry and the worms have taken so much of the substance out of the continuity of the wood. This stuff is pretty predictable the way it works. Okay, so I'm gonna clean up and get this shirt off and start chiseling. First will be some straight chisel work at either end with the grain, and then some gouge work across the grain, and then we'll see where that leads. So rather than get into any splitting trouble, this is a pretty common technique when you're doing chisel work. You outline your work. So this is all about how hard can you swing, how much of an impact can the piece of wood take, how sharp is your chisel, how many blows do you want it to take, are you worried about the grain changing underneath you? Even with this, I got a little aggressive here, and I think I've over nipped that. I'm going to have to plane this whole surface down some. Oh well. That's my big problem. I think I'll be all set. Look at this stuff go, though. It's like butter, isn't it? Leaving myself a little bit of room here. I'm not sure how much that's going to help me, but right now it makes me feel secure, you know. So I'll do a bunch more of this. Yeah, we'll do a bunch more of that. Now, I think, what do? I want to do some hand cutting. Let me get you in tighter. Want to see how this is going to work, right? This is a push, really, it's a push handle. It's not really, it wasn't made to pound with a mallet. I know I'm using it that way. But I like to keep this chisel sharp enough that it will push through things. also, not just getting beaten and driven. This transition at the bottom is always, you know, a difficult spot. All right. The corners obviously get better as I get to the other side. But there's that. It's going to go pretty well. Flip it around, try it again. So you've probably caught on, but I really like chisel work. All right. Well, you know, a couple more hits, right? All right, that a little bit of cleanup, you know, a little bit of handwork, trimming, just trying to get a little bit more unified slope. ignoring the corners. That's not awful. Alright, so now let's turn it and try to do the sides. Much the same thing, but the grain runs differently. And it presents somewhat of a different problem. I don't want it to split off too far, which means don't use a straight chisel. Gouge. The thing about the gouge is the edges of the gouge come up. So every time you run the gouge through, if you're doing it right, you'll make a hollow, but the edges will stay up in case there's a running grain problem, at least in our current situation. I'm still going to let it chip some, as you can see. But I'm in a lot more control and getting some depth also. Nice. And see, I'm leaving the lip of this gouge up on the edge, so I'm not going to let it chip into this side over here. Theoretically. Let's see how well I can do at that. Yeah. Better, getting better all the time. So I guess the story is, it's not that there were no surprises, there are just fewer of them. That's probably the way to look at it. Anyway, pretty good. I can play with this for a minute and then we'll flip over to the other side. Cool. Now, from here, I got this side to do, and then, truthfully, I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably go over the whole thing with a straight chisel one more time. Then play with this square edge a little bit. A little block plane action. Not doing it, but showing you a little, pass the block plane across. This is rough wood, so it's not going to bite immediately. There we go. So do something like that. I've got to get through the oxidized surface into the cherry color rather than the oxidized color. But that sort of drill. Playing it down, making it smooth, and then starting the rounding the thing because I want the edge rounded a little bit. These inside corners, I kind of want them a little bit crisp because this is a flat plane coming into a flat plane. Now on the back side, I've got that crisp corner. On the back side, I'm going to probably sand this and allow the sanding to slightly round this. I'd like that slightly rounded feature here, relatively crisp line here, slightly rounded feature here, relatively crisp line here, slightly rounded feature here. Back and forth. It's sort of like I can't decide what I want. Maybe that's what it is. Anyway. Oh, that was chippy. If something like that went the wrong way, this would become kindling. Didn't go bad though. Went all right. Good. But I hate having to depend on being lucky. But, I guess. All right, well that's looking pretty good. Get a lot of swooping. I'll unswoop a little. I wish I had the control to leave a finish with all the gouge marks in it. But it's the truth is it's not smooth. It doesn't cut smoothly to the wood. The gouge isn't quite that sharp. So I'm getting little tears in it, which, you know, makes it easier to do the carving. All right, well, I guess now it's get the straight chisel out and try to refine. Oh, well, that's, maybe I could achieve a rounded inside corner here. I haven't overcut these. Maybe I can do that. That would, you know, if I could do that, I think maybe I'd be happier with a sanded finish on the inside rather than a gouged surface. I'm gonna try to get a sander. I don't know what I'm gonna use. I've got some of those little round, 2-inch round, put it on the end of a drill toy sanding discs. Maybe this is a place for that. We'll see. Get this other corner straightened out, move to the other side.